Hi, welcome to CMVG's preview of E3. We're going to talk about what we expect from the third parties and why certain developers aren't making an appearance at the show. I'm Tim Weaver, managing editor at CMVG. I'm here with Ben.
Hi there, Tim.
Andy.
Hello.
Alex.
Hello.
And Ian.
Hello.
So we've got a full house here. You've already heard Dan Dawkins' opinion on the PlayStation setup. You've heard Michael Gapper talk about Xbox, and you've heard Matthew Garsel talk about Nintendo. So as I say, we're going to talk about third parties now, and we're going to start with EA. They've probably got a couple of things that we're expecting to make an appearance at the show, one of which is Dead Space 3. Ian, tell us a bit about what we know about Dead Space 3.
Well, from what we've heard so far about Dead Space 3, it sounds like it's going to be sort of quite a big change from the previous two games. The setting for it is kind of moving away from spaceships and sort of dark corridors of the first two games and going to an icy planet, which Isaac Clarke's been sent to on a rescue mission for some reason, but apparently there's a warrant out for his arrest.
That old favourite,
that old chestnut.
It sounds like it's going to be more of a shooter. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, from what we've heard about it, it sounds like the controls have been sort of changed around quite a lot. It's been said that his rig's going to be more manoeuvrable this time, so he'll be able to sort of crouch and take cover behind objects. He'll be able to do a diving roll, so he'll be a lot more manoeuvrable in combat. And so that sounds quite a bit different. But whether that's a good thing or not, I guess
it's an interesting one.
It's people might feel it's kind of moving away from the sort of the roots of the first two games, where it's all about the sort of survival horror aspect of not being very manoeuvrable and sort of having these confrontations. And if he's able to run around and sort of dive and roll and duck and cover,
well, that means if there's going to be cover and ducking and diving, that means that the enemies are going to be firing at you, which implies that maybe they're not just the necromorphs. Maybe
they're not.
Yeah,
I think that's what we think.
Yeah, this is it. There's been talk that as well as the necromorphs and other sort of alien enemies, that you're actually going to be coming up against human enemies this time, against sort of soldiers who are going to be heavily armed, and in that case, if they're shooting at you, then you're going to want to be using sort of cover and getting out of the way. That's linked into this arrest warrant that's out for him, or whether it's to do with because he basically crash lands on this icy planet is meant to be the setting for the next game, and he's basically working his way around looking for survivors in a facility that's on this planet. So whether it's to do with that, and maybe there's going to be people there guarding the facility, trying to stop him from getting in.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, we imagine that'll be probably the centerpiece of EA's show this year. I don't think probably there's going to be any sign of any Battlefield action. There may be some sort of teaser, but we've heard, or everyone, DICE have openly talked about the fact that they're ready to move to the next gen now. They're going to move to the next gen, so we expect Dead Space to kind of be their centerpiece. However, we do expect them to also announce Need for Speed. Alex Dale, tell us about Need for Speed.
Well, we've long suspected that the next Need for Speed was going to be Need for Speed Most Wanted 2, and that was pretty much all but confirmed a few days ago when EA's booth schedule was leaked on something called Twitch TV.
TV.
So it is Need for Speed Most Wanted 2. Details are scarce at the moment, but all indications are that it's going to be Criterion, mostly because it's about time. It's been 2 years since their last game, and also because they've been going on a development drive over the past year, which also indicates the game is coming to Vita. So as the name suggests, it's going to be based around the 2005 title Most Wanted. So following up on Hot Pursuit in 2010, it sounds like Criterion's battle plan is to basically remake the good Need for Speed games. So with that in mind, I suspect this will be their last game.
Because Most Wanted is, would it be fair to say that's possibly one of the most fondly remembered Need for Speeds?
It is. I was trying to think exactly why on the way down here.
Because it was the first one on on this generation of consoles, wasn't it?
It was, although it was quite choppy on Xbox 360. I think it was most fondly remembered as a PC/Xbox One title. It basically, the first Most Wanted game, just kept things simple. It had excellent police chase mechanics. It had the speed breaker in it, and it was just a really well designed open world. It didn't do anything flashy. From there on, games such as Carbon and Undercover just sort of buried it with gimmicks. I don't think we'll see anything concrete at the show. I think we'll just get like a 3-minute montage of like a car spinning around and then like some woman wearing about a centimetre of fabric saying, "Are you ready to be the most wanted?" And then that'll be it. But Criterion, obviously, they worked on the Burnout series. That's pretty much a seal of quality. And the last game, Hot Pursuit, was pretty good stuff.
So you don't think you don't reckon that it'll be playable behind closed doors, maybe, or? Because, I mean, presumably they'll release at the end of the year. I mean, that's what they always do with Need for Speed, isn't it? It's always a November release.
That's right. It's difficult to offer a solid slice, especially like with a game like that. Hot Pursuit was very sort of bitty with many different bits and 2 separate sort of police/racer campaigns on it. So I don't know how we're going to showcase it.
No.
I think they like to do that sort of thing at their own events, but we'll see.
Okay, so moving on, we know that with Konami, they're going to have Metal Gear Rising. That's going to make an appearance. We suspect that Castlevania Lord of Shadows 2 will be there, but that's just rumours we've heard.
Well, an image has leaked of that online, so they're pretty much at the stage where they're ready to show it off. So it's likely, isn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought so. The big question with Konami is whether we might have the biggest announcement of all, which would be Metal Gear Solid 5. Ian, you might have some inside track on this.
I mean, that would be a pretty massive announcement if they came out and said that. I mean, we suspect. We're pretty sure that it's in the works. Kojima's, we know he's tweeting all the time about his next project and what he's working on. Although he doesn't really give many specifics in that, he's always sort of dropping little hints on Twitter about what he's working on and where it's going.
I mean, he's been quite active on Twitter lately, like almost without giving anything too much away. But it feels like he's sort of building up to something, you know?
Yeah. He's I think he's one of these people. He's got something he wants to. He wants to say it, and he knows that he can't say it. So he's skating around it. But I think there's definitely there's something in the works.
I guess the big thing with Metal Gear 5, if they do announce it, is where will they announce it? Will they announce it on the Microsoft stage, or will they announce it on the Sony stage, or maybe they'll announce it on both? And B, will it be this gen or will it be next gen?
Well, exactly. This is the sort of big question with it. We've had lots of talk from him about Project Ogre and whether we don't know whether that is going to be the next Metal Gear or whether that's potentially something else. When they were sort of doing the recruiting Kojima Productions for their next projects, they were talking about sort of building up things for the next generation of it was for high-end PCs and the next generation of consoles. So that does kind of hint that it is going to be working towards the next sort of Xbox 720 PS4. So it may well be that it doesn't actually come on the current generation of systems that we've got. Obviously, that's going to depend on when those other systems are coming, because we don't know exactly when those are going to be. Because
it puts him in a sort of slightly. Let's say he did come out with Metal Gear 5 and it was on next gen. It puts him in a slightly difficult spot in that both Microsoft and Sony have quite openly said we're not showing off next gen hardware.
Well, exactly, yeah. So if it is announced and it is coming on the next generation of consoles, there's probably not a great deal that they can really show off from it, because I'm guessing he's not going to preempt Sony and Microsoft's own announcements and unveiling of their new technology by showing off sort of their engine or screens or anything from the next game if it is going to be on those next generation consoles, unless he sort of says it's a a high-end PC version, and it's,
he might do that
through that way. So
okay, cool. So the other game, one of the other games that we almost definitely know is going to be there but hasn't been announced yet is the new Splinter Cell, called Splinter Cell Retribution. Ben, you know a little bit about it. Give us the lowdown.
Well, Tim, like it's kind of funny. Like Ubisoft are really crap at concealing their games normally, like leaking all over the place. But Retribution, no one knows anything, which is kind of weird considering it's a stealth game. But we kind of know a lot. So the first thing is Ubisoft Toronto are working on it. It's their first game. It's Jade Raymond's studio. So yeah, we all know her. She's quite pretty. And Ubisoft Montreal they worked on the last game, Conviction. And they're kind of moving down to Toronto to help the guys out. So they're kind of building on the original framework, which is aggressive stealth. That was like the ethos of the last game.
So it's going to be more. We think it's going to be more Conviction than, say, Chaos Theory or.
Well, that's the thing, because they were kind of rushed in development. They cancelled Conviction halfway through, then kind of built again. So they didn't have time to incorporate some of the Chaos Theory-like features, a bit of the hardcore features. They were happy with the cart mode. That was great. So that's not going to change. They were happy with the kind of the black and white screen effect when you were moving stealthily, and they call it the Panther concept, which I kind of like. So that's what they're happy with. That's not going to change, but they can build on things and incorporate new things, like a more hardcore mode, which kind of in the last game it was really streamlined, and they had to leave out a few features. But now they've got moving bodies. They've got like knife play, which obviously leads to interrogation, and overall they kind of want to emphasize observation and concealment, which was left out of the last game.
Yeah, because it was all that sort of stuff was originally going to be in the first take of Conviction, wasn't it? They were supposed to have this massive almost Hitman style sort of crowd dynamic where you had to sort of merge into the crowds and conceal what you'd done and all that sort of stuff. So you think that they're going to be bringing that back and giving it another go for Retribution?
Yeah, maybe not the crowd mechanics, but just more options. They were speaking with Game Developer Magazine. They gave a post-mortem, and they said they regret that they left out a hardcore mode. So there's going to be a hardcore option for the Splinter Cell classic fans, as well as the streamlined version of Splinter Cell, which you know from Conviction. So it's the best of both worlds, really. Okay,
cool. So those are the games that we are pretty sure are going to be there. There are also some notable absences. I'm thinking like GTA 5 here. I'm thinking Bungie's next game, Destiny. There's Bioshock Infinite also not going to be at the show. Andy, why are some of these developers, I'm thinking like BioWare, Infinity Ward, Respawn, those kind of, why are they not going to be there?
Well, I think with BioWare, Mass Effect 3 has just come out, really. I mean, it's fairly recent release. They're working on this clarified ending DLC, and they've also hinted that they're working on Dragon Age 3. So BioWare's a studio that only really makes big games, doesn't have a lot of projects going on at once, so I think that's why they're not at E3. They just simply probably don't have anything to show. Infinity Ward, they said that they're not going to be there in an official capacity, so I imagine you'll have some people there from the team, maybe with the Activision stand or whatever, but they're not going to be showing anything.
But is one of the sort of rumours doing the round is a lot of the reason they're not going to be there is because they're busy working on next gen games.
Yeah, well, a lot of the big studios and some of the other ones I'm going to mention next are all said to be busy making games for the next generation, which makes sense because we're on the crest of the wave of this generation, and it's about to crash.
It's sort of ironic that this show we always thought might be the one where it's like we finally get a glimpse of the next gen, and the build up has almost been entirely about that, and yet it's increasingly looking like probably we won't, and that's sort of backed up by the fact that all these developers are just staying at home and working on their
well Bungie, who are working on Destiny, which is this
MMO.
which is said to be the next big thing. You
Yeah.
know, Bungie also said that they're going to have people at the show, but they're not talking about anything. They might have some behind closed doors things for journalists, but nothing from them. Respawn as well, formerly Infinity Ward,
Yeah.
are working on this new shooter that is people are guessing is going to be next gen, and almost certainly is. They're not going to be there either, probably for the same reason that they want to keep. If the big companies aren't showing the hardware, they can't show the games. You know, I don't think so. They're still hard at work on whatever their project is.
Yeah.
I mean, they've released a screenshot, but it was so blurry. It was just a grey blob.
I mean,
maybe that's what the game looks like.
Yeah.
Extreme blurring.
I mean, the assumption is that it'll be some sort of future shooter.
Yeah, it's going to be a grey futuristic shooter. I'm
Yeah.
sure it's going to be really good. But
Yeah.
they're using it as a showcase game. I think Microsoft will use it as their showcase game for the next Xbox by giving them millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Rockstar.
That's the biggest surprise for me. No GTA 5.
I think when you look back at Rockstar's history, though, and the way they conduct themselves as a company, it's not that big a surprise, really, because they never... The only time they show GTA games at E3 is either on stage at the big conferences. They never have on the show floor, and there was all these rumours going around that, GTA 5 is going to be playable on the show floor. But Rockstar would never do that.
No, that would never happen.
They only show the game... If when you deal with Rockstar and you see their games at an early stage, when you work as a journalist, they're so controlled, and everything you see, even in an open world game, all the other journalists will see exactly the same thing because it's so guided and controlled, and they would never let it out, you know. So there might be something like akin to was it Peter Moore having the tattoo and saying, hey, we've got Xbox exclusivity for DLC, but I don't think we're going to see. I mean, maybe there'll be a new trailer at one of the conferences, but because the way they do a GTA is they do the first trailer, which we've seen already, then they do a number of follow-up trailers showing different aspects of the game, so we might get one of them, but they're not going to be there showing it off. I don't even think to journalists behind closed doors either.
No. Okay. All right, so that's our roundup of third. Oh, sorry, Andy. You.
Oh yeah, well, one more is Irrational. I'm not going to be showing Bioshock Infinite because there was a recent delay of that. Ken Levine says they don't want to show it off. They want to show it off when it looks like it's going to look when it ships. So they've held it back to make it better, and they don't want to show it in this stage. They want us to see it when it's ready to go.
As we talked about with Matt Castle and the Nintendo one of the interesting rumours about Bioshock Infinite is that the delay is down to some sort of Wii U thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, on the Irrational blog, Ken Levine's got a statement on there. It's actually on the front page of their site right now, saying that it was being vague, but saying that they wanted to make the game better. And he used an example. He said that the original Bioshock was held back because the big daddies didn't behave in the way that we now look at them as an iconic bit of game design. So he cited that as an example that they're keeping the game back for legitimate reasons. But do you think it's some kind of...
I don't know. This is just a rumor that Matt and Matt Castle and I were talking about in the Nintendo portion of this E3 rumor roundup yesterday, and I thought it was just interesting that the game had been delayed. When. And I don't know. I guess we'll find out more at E3. But anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for your input, and thank you for listening.